Can't see. Hey, welcome back to the Blue Review. Parker Bell will be on in a moment. His audio is unavailable at the moment. But what's up, Marcus? Good to see you again. We got
Happy
two in a row.
Friday. Yeah, man. Happy Friday. It's good to
Yeah.
be here. We got plenty of blue to talk about today.
Yeah, plenty of blue. And by the way, the Blue Review is presented by LAX at Los Angeles International Airport. Changes are arriving daily to reduce traffic, save traveler guests time, and transform the travel experience. You can get all of your info at flylax.com/transforminglax. And I want to make it one thing clear right off the top, Marcus, that we are going to try to be different type of show to talk Dodgers. You get 25 minutes, 9:30 to 9:55, 25 minutes of all of us and just talking Dodger baseball on this YouTube channel. If you come on here, we want to be interactive. We want to talk to you. So if you have questions, if you have comments, just put them up on the screen. We'll get to as many as we possibly can. But that's going to be every single day, Monday through Friday at this time that we talk just about the Dodgers, and you can just chime in whatever you want. I think it's something that we can do a good job at, because you've done it before plenty of times, Marcus. I've done it plenty of times before, but I think this is how you make us different at this time of the day. Nobody else is talking Dodgers, so talk to us.
Yeah, 100%. No, I mean, this is sort of our forum, right? Like, and when I say our, I mean all of us, right? Me, you, everybody out there listening, watching. Yeah, come on in. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk some blue for about 25 minutes or so.
Yeah, absolutely. So the place that I kind of wanted to start with, and I think it's something that not a lot of people are talking about. What's up, Carlos Peralta? Glad you made it. Now, call me every day, Monday through Friday.
This is your job now, Carlos. You have to be here now.
This is what we're not paying you, but you got to be.
This is your
mandatory.
Yeah.
And tell your friends. So where I wanted to start was with Gavin Lux. I haven't seen too many people talking about it, but I saw he had another error again yesterday, and now he's had 3 chances at shortstop and has 2 errors and 1 putout. So 2 out of 3 errors is a little bit of a problem. Now, very, very small sample size, Marcus, but this is the kind of thing that we are talking about with Gavin Lux just in general, is the things that he has to do. He has to be good enough at short. He has to be good enough defensively, and he has to be good enough at that 9 spot just to get on base, keep the line moving, get it back up to the top to the Mookie, and then Mookie, Shohei, Freddie, and those type of guys to drive in more runs. Do you see any type of concern with 2 errors already in spring training?
I mean, it's something to pay attention to, right? It's very early to start putting, hitting the panic button on this sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, the offense obviously is one thing, and I think everybody's sort of anticipating it's going to take a little while for the offense to come back for him. I mean, after it was nearly a calendar year between live at bats for him, so that's gonna take a little bit of time. But one of the things I have always believed about baseball is that defense never leaves you, regardless of what your situation was. Defense is defense. And so, 2 errors and 3 chances. It's basic, right? So 2 errors and 3 chances. It's something that definitely raises an eyebrow. Let's kind of get a little bit deeper in. Let's have him get a few more chances. And maybe this was just a speed bump, right? Maybe he just happened to have a couple of bad plays. If we're a couple weeks in and we're still talking about, Gavin Lux's defense, then I think we worry a little bit.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I'm not worried about it now. It's again, small sample size. It's only been a couple of games. He did not play for a calendar year, like you said. So it's going to take time for him to get his legs underneath him and to get used to position again. But I like what you said there. I've never heard it that way. Defense never leaves you. So that's like, did you play baseball in high school?
I played a little bit in high school. Like so many of us, the curveball drove me into broadcasting.
Yes, exactly.
I was a good defensive middle infielder. I was a second baseman, a decent defensive middle. I couldn't hit. That's what that's always the axiom, right? You shake a tree and a bunch of gloves fall out and maybe one bat, so that, again, the curveball is why I'm sitting here right now talking to you.
So I like that though. I've never heard it before that way. So you're right for what I don't know if I actually fully agree with it, just thinking about it now, because I've never heard that statement before, but like Chuck Knobloch, he just lost it.
Yeah, sometimes you get the yips.
Yeah, you're right.
Sometimes that happens.
But for the most part, I think you're mostly right. And hey, what's up, Parker? Hopefully you can actually hear us and you can talk to us now.
Hello, how we doing?
Hey, there he
works. I'm
Just living on the cloud.
so proud of you. So like we're obviously been listening. We've been talking about Gavin Lux, and
Exactly.
Is Gavin Lux's defense at this early stage something of a concern, or you think he just needs a little more time?
Yeah, I'm going to tend to lean with Marcus on this one. I liked what he said as well, that, defense never leaves you, etc. But I think it's just so early, and, he's probably got a little bit of jitters that he's got to shake off, and that's what we're here for the spring training for. But if I see a few errors out in Seoul, then I might begin to be a little worried. So, yeah, that's something we definitely need to keep an eye on, because that's one of the biggest stories in Dodgers baseball, even though we got all these massive signings, because we need that everyday shortstop to be performing at a high level in order for them to make a deep run.
I do think the nerves might be something there. I immediately think back. So I spent a couple years doing minor league baseball on radio, and I remember I was in the A's organization. They had just drafted Bobby Crosby as their first overall pick out of Long Beach State, shortstop. They put him in high A to start, and I remember his first game. Literally everyone in the organization. I mean, we were in tiny little Visalia, California, and like the scouting directors, a lot of the scouts, Billy Bean, right, comes down to this tiny little ballpark that's basically a glorified high school ballpark to watch Bobby Crosby. His first chance, like first hitter, hits a relatively routine ground ball, and just you could see the nerves. He bobbles it, he boots it, guy gets on first. After that, though, he was fine. I think it was just sort of that jitters of literally the whole organization is here watching your first game. The first chance comes your way, and he got a little nervous. He fumbled it. After that, he was smooth. He had a couple of hits that day. So maybe this is just Gavin Lux sort of getting some of the nerves out right now.
Yeah, it probably is. But I mean, again, though, he had his first outing at shortstop. Was it Monday? It was 364 days from the last time that he played the position. So, and had an error, and then he's had another one yesterday. There's a few days in there that he's had time to kind of get those jitters out. Again, I don't think it's a big deal right now, but it is something to pay attention to. But if that is something that is going to be a consistent thing for him, where he was never a great defender. It was always about his bat and the fact that he can get on base, he can have a high on base percentage and do all of those things. So if this continues to be an issue, I think that's when you start having to kind of give a little bit more time to Miguel Rojas, which we probably don't want at some point. But the idea is to have Gavin Lux in there every day, because there's no DH spot anymore. You cannot think about your DH spot with Shohei in there. So it's just something to pay attention to. On the other side of it, though, is a guy in second base, and Mookie Betts. He's been fantastic. He's been fantastic in every single way possible. He had a jack last night, and he's played an excellent second base because he's an athlete. And does whatever he wants. What have you seen from Mookie? Are you enjoying it? Do you think that it's sustainable for a whole 162 game season?
No. Well, here's the thing. Whoa, let me qualify that, right? I mean,
thank you.
Slumps happen, right? But I think over the course of a season, yes, Mookie's going to be just fine. I think the fact that here it is, he's made this position change and he's come out and he is crushing right now in the first few days of spring training. That is incredibly encouraging, especially because the way last year ended, right? I mean, he was in an extended slump at the end of last year. He was on the side of a milk carton in the postseason last year. So for him to shake that off and come back immediately and jump in and hit, I think that is certainly very encouraging. And look, he's going to see pitches, right? You can't pitch around Mookie when Shohei's behind him and Freddie is behind him. And, who else are you going to, when you go back to Will Smith and Max Muncy, you can't pitch around anybody in this lineup right now. So the fact that Mookie is hitting right now, I think is encouraging. I think it's going to be a thing that, yes, overall you're going to see, sure, he'll have a couple of days where maybe he doesn't get a hit, right? He'll have an 0 for 3 or a 1 for 5 in there or something like that. But for the most part, I think Mookie is going to be that table setter at the top of the lineup. I'd love to see him run more. I know the Dodgers when you have the bats, you don't necessarily want to run into outs, but I do think putting pressure on opposing pitchers, putting pressure on catchers and defenses, I think that only makes things better. I think that opens up more holes for Shohei and Freddie and all those guys behind him. So I'm really, really excited. And the fact that the position change hasn't really seemed to affect him at the plate is really, really encouraging to me.
So it's interesting. Go ahead, Parker.
Oh, I was just going to say, I mean, and on a more, macro level, just in general, the fact that his attitude, he wants to win that 7th Gold Glove. but this time at second, or at second base. It's just amazing. I'm excited because I just know that when he reaches Cooperstown and when he's there, it's going to be Dodger blue on his hat. So this is not the beginning, because last year was the beginning, but this is still the turn of that second half of his career where he's now becoming that legend of the game, where it's like, oh my gosh, do you remember Mookie Betts, the World Series winner, who went from the best right fielder in the game to the best second baseman in the game? We take it for granted at times. So I just want to give him his flowers early on, and I think it is sustainable. I think it is going to be sustainable this season.
Good. You mentioned something too, Marcus. You said that you want him to run more. So how it works, how I've always seen base running, I am a big proponent of it, and I think they've changed the bases so that you can get more stolen bases. Mookie has the speed to steal more bases. Old school baseball is don't take the bat out of the guy's hands behind you by running into an out or something like that. So this Dodgers team has never been one that ran, but now you have a little bit more speed. You have Outman that has speed. You have Lux that has speed, and then Mookie, and then Shohei has a ton of speed that you kind of take for granted as well. So they have the speed on the base pass to be able to steal bases, but it's not something. And also, by the way, Freddie, sneaky fast. So like 20 some bases.
Right. But I think that's part of it, right? It's about being smart about how you run, right? Because I don't think when you look at Freddie Freeman, you don't think he's going to win a ton of foot races, but he's really smart about when to go, when to steal, when to take the extra base. And I think that really plays into it. But I do think there's a way you can run. Now, I mean, I go back to last year with the Diamondbacks. I mean, I remember that opening weekend series against Arizona rather, and they stole everything but the light switches at Dodger Stadium. It felt like, I mean, they ran and ran and ran, and early on, especially, it just looked like the Dodgers didn't have a clue of how to handle it. And I think there's something I think because we have gotten to this point now in baseball where teams generally don't run a lot, accordingly, defenses don't really practice how to slow down the running game a whole lot. And now with the new rules where you can only throw over so many times, that gives you a decided advantage on when you can take off. When a pitcher's already thrown over once or twice, like you know that you can go at this point. So I would like to see them sort of take advantage of it, because you start shifting defenders around when you have hitters like Ohtani and Freeman, who can put the ball in different spots. It just opens up so many more opportunities. And suddenly, maybe you have guys scoring from first on balls in the gap just because, the defense had to kind of do something a little bit.
Yeah, no, I'm a big proponent of the guys running. It just doesn't seem like this Dodgers team is one that does it. And it's something that would love for them to be taking advantage of those situations, because they haven't been, and maybe that's been part of the problem from not making it further in the postseason. Maybe,
which is also sort of weird though, when you figure that the Dodgers manager has arguably the most famous stolen base in Major League history, right?
It's so true. And, that was his thing, and they've had Maury Wills on this team. They've had like in the dugout with them, and an first base coach at times. It's like, you have guys that can know how to do it and can teach you the right way to do it, and they just don't. So I don't know why they're doing it that way, but whatever it is, hopefully we see more of it this year, because that just adds a whole nother dynamic to making this offense even harder and harder to pay attention to.
Yeah.
We got a couple things in the chat. One of them is, what's going on with Max's hand? Is it concerning? I don't know if you saw the reports on it, Marcus.
I did see the swelling has gone down. He's day to day. I know he hasn't been able to swing a bat just yet. So at this point, I don't think it's much of a concern. I think he gets a couple days off. They'll let the swelling go down. They'll see how well he can grip a bat. But at this point, I'm not really worried about it.
Yeah, I'm not either. That's the fact that Max came out and said, like, swelling's gone down, I'm gonna be fine, it's not broken, MRI is negative, all those things. That's exactly what kind of you're looking for. He'll get back out there at some point. It's going to be something that goes on, but I think he'll be just fine. So there's no real concern there. What else we got there, Parker?
Well, you got another one that, we mentioned Outman, especially with his speed, but out on the plate, how are we feeling? Because Daisy Juarez in the chat says he looks lost.
At times, yeah.
He's young,
and I think, look, he's a guy that they can get him at bats, right? They can afford to have him out there and get at bats, because they have so many other guys in the lineup around him. If this was an offense that you knew, you had holes, somewhere along the line. I think it's a little harder to get him at bats if you needed to generate consistent offense. But I think the fact that, with the guys around him in this lineup, we talk about the guys at the top and, even the guys sort of further down, if we get Teoscar Hernandez in there consistently and that sort of thing, he will see pitches to hit because, again, there's nowhere to go for easy outs in this lineup. So I think in the long term, that could end up helping him.
So I think Outman is also a guy that, he's going to struggle a little bit here and there. This is his sophomore year. The sophomore slump is a very real thing that happens to a lot of guys in Major League Baseball. I think he's going to have ups and downs. He's kind of like Gavin Lux in this situation. They're both kind of in that second year type thing, even though Gavin's been around a good amount of time longer. I think it's one of those things where it's just, hey, get out there, play good defense in the outfield. The bat will come. You have a good bat. He's just not patient enough. Like, he's not Max Muncy. Like, he's not
Right.
going to be him tracking pitches is still going to be difficult. He's not there yet on that. So he's going to swing wildly. He's going to be like Chris Taylor and swing at pitches that he shouldn't be swinging at and swinging out of his shoes every once in a while. If you can keep it under enough control, go ahead.
I was going to say, sounds like a former Dodger who, his name rhymes with Cody Bellinger.
Yeah, very much so. And also center fielder, great defensive player. He figured something out last year. Good for him. Got a really, really nice deal with the opt-outs in between. But that's kind of what Outman's looking at. If he can just slow down at the plate, try and pick his pitches just a little bit better, I think he'll be just fine. I mean, he was good last year. It was exactly what you needed for a guy in the 7 spot in the lineup. I mean, if he just has to be okay, he just has to give you 20 home runs, 50, 60 RBIs, and play a really good defensive center field, and you'll be totally fine. I know that's a low number of RBIs, but he should actually be able to get more, but that's about where we're looking at for him to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, with this lineup, that number should be a little higher, but that wouldn't be disappointing, to say the least. So, I mean, I see a lot of people in the chat communicating more. This is very good. We like it when you're chatting with us, when you're hopping in and throwing us some questions, so keep doing so. But I wanted to ask you guys about one of the new additions in the Big Maple, James Paxton.
James
you
Paxton.
Didn't know? Yeah, that's his nickname.
Explain to everybody why the Big Maple.
Yes, so he was born in, I believe it's the British Columbia district of Canada. So, and he's 6'4", 220. So, it explains itself. What did we think of him? He had 4 Ks after, I think, giving up just a run on a sac fly. He looked good, but of course the injury concerns in the past. How are we feeling about that?
He's a guy that normally is the same as most of the other pitchers in this starting rotation. He gets hurt a lot, and he has gotten hurt a lot in the past. And so I think that if he can be this, he's one of the few left-handed starters that are on this roster. So he kind of has to find his way. Yeah. If he's going to look like this, great. That was his first start. But I mean, people will start figuring him out, seeing his pitches, understanding where to go. But he's been a good pitcher when healthy. So if he can stay just a little bit healthy and look semi like this, like, great, awesome. I'm all in.
Is this the Dodgers Moneyball theory? We're gonna go after pitchers who have sort of a lengthy injury history, but hopefully the price is a little bit deflated on them. I mean, that was the whole Moneyball argument, right? Billy Beane was going after guys with on-base percentage because nobody really cared or paid attention to those guys who got walks, and it worked out. So I'm wondering if this is what the Dodgers are gonna do. We're gonna, the market inefficiency is going after pitchers with injury history who we think we can either sort of rehab along, or the fact that we're going to put them in a 6-man rotation to maybe mask that. I mean, I'll say this: the Dodgers, to their credit, maybe sometimes to their detriment, have been very creative with how not only how they stack their rotation, but how they have used the injured list over the years, to the point that they've almost sort of created having a 30-man roster on any given day just because of the way they're sort of moving guys around. And I'm just wondering if they sit around this is a new market inefficiency. Nobody wants to go out and give Tyler Glasnow a whole lot of money because of his injury history, or James Paxton, or what have you. We'll fix him. We can make it work.
Well, when you got that prior pixie dust,
that's true.
That's true. But look at the past. I mean, it's what they do. It's constant. They did it with Brett Anderson. They gave him a deal and he was a guy with injury history, and they made him kind of work a little bit. Mm-hmm. They tried it with McCarthy, and that didn't work out. He had given him a 4-year deal, and he never really pitched. But they tried it. They tried to bring him in and to do those types of things. They tried it last year with Noah Syndergaard because they have that magic pixie dust. That didn't work
at
so
all.
they do like going out and finding those types of guys because maybe they will, but they go out and they get a bunch of them and say, at least 2 of them. Look at Tyler Anderson. They made Tyler Anderson a ton of money with the Angels, and he sucks again. So, I mean, like it just he went from one guy that was not very good, came to the Dodgers, was fantastic, went to the Angels, he was terrible again. This is just what they do when they find the right guy. So hopefully James Paxton is that guy. Had a bit of a bad year, come to the Dodgers, have a really good year, go get paid. Have a bad year.
The reclamation
just
project.
Give me the good year. That's all I care about.
Exactly. That's all we want.
Yeah.
So speaking of just some of that pitching, I mean, Sheehan, there's kind of been some updates on him now that he's kind of throwing some plyo balls. I might be seeing some live soon, but he's not going to be ready, most likely for the Seoul series. That's what the Dodgers are saying, but probably for the domestic opening day, which just sounds so funny to say. I know that we had some conversations before the show and last night about that. The scheduling of the Seoul series. I mean, do you guys kind of want to talk about that? We have a few minutes.
You're strong on this one, Marcus.
Well, it's just silly.
Ridiculous.
It's just silly, right? That they go and they play some real games that count, and then they come back and actually play a couple more spring training games. Like I remembered a few years ago when the A's and Mariners did that. They went to Japan, and like it was hard because I wasn't going to wake up at 4:00 in the morning or whatever to watch the A's and the Mariners play. But then I remember the A's came back. And they, played some spring training games against the Giants. And I know the Dodgers are going to do that. Like they'll come back and then they'll have the Freeway series against the Angels. Like it's just, I don't know. It feels disruptive. I know, like I'm not a fantasy baseball guy anymore, but I know for the fantasy baseball folks, it's a little bit weird because you got to set a lineup and then you get a few days off and you got to go back to setting lineups. I don't know. I get that they want to expand. I mean, I get that they want to expand the game, but here's the thing: baseball's already huge in those countries. It's not like the NFL going to Brazil trying to grow the game in South America. Like they play baseball in Japan and South Korea. Like I don't know, a lot. They're really good at it over there. Right. So like, I don't really understand the purpose of this.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. I know when they do this all the time. It just doesn't make sense to me. If you're gonna start a season, start a season.
Right.
Like. If you want to give them a few days off afterwards and not have spring training games, be like, come back, take 3, 4, 5 days off, and then start up again, fine. But like, are you gonna have all these guys go over there, play at 3:00 in the morning, as they're now used to it? Now they're used to a 3:00 in the morning in Arizona and Los Angeles right now. Over there, they're gonna come back and play against the Padres? Not the Padres. Who are they playing against? I forget.
In Seoul, they're playing the Padres.
The Padres, yeah.
No, it's the Angels that come back to play. Mm-hmm. Are you really going to put out all these guys, Freddie, Mookie, Shohei, against the Angels in the Freeway series like that people want to see? Probably not. And that's going to be the last time you're going to see Shohei at Angel Stadium for a good amount of time this year. So I just don't get it. I think it's stupid. Look, make your money because it's obviously a big old money grab, but I think it's dumb, and I would change it in some way, shape, or form. And also remember, Australia, Clayton Kershaw went to Australia. I know it's a smaller baseball community there. Came back, hurt his back. He's never been the same. Yeah. So I don't like this long flight stuff.
I know we're almost out of time. Can I be old man yelling at cloud for a minute?
Do it.
100%.
Like I want opening day to be on the first Tuesday in April. I want it to be the day after the national championship game in basketball, right? Like I want to see somebody cutting down the nets and hear one shining moment on Monday night, and then Tuesday I want opening day to start in Cincinnati. That's what I want. That's what it always was. That's what I want again. And like I don't think that's too much to ask. All right, I'm down off my soapbox now.
No, I mean, you keep going. I'm totally fine with it. You're 100% right. It's the right. Look, I'm one of those guys that is like, I like baseball from the past. I fought against the DH for years. Mm-hmm. I'm totally with you. We change with the times, but this one should not change. There's some things you shouldn't change.
Like there was no reason really to change that other than, the answer to all your questions is money. Like that's really it. But there was no actual competitive reason to change opening day from being in Cincinnati on that first Tuesday in April. None at all.
March 20th and the 21st, that just does not sound right. That just hurts. It hurts.
No.
Man.
No.
And we'll get more into that next week. Of course, it's today's Friday, and we're going to have some weekends to look over some Dodger stuff. You can continue to chat with us. Greg, I'll let you close us out. This was a fun episode of Blue Review, though.
Yeah, it was fun. Good job, and good job getting back onto the air.
Yeah, man. Good job by you.
So for Marcus Grant right next to me, Parker Bell below me, and thank you very much for following the Blue Review and being here. Come here every Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 9:55. We are going to take as many questions as we can. We read the chat. We are paying attention to it. We can interact for a good 25 minutes Monday through Friday. So be here on the Blue Review. Thanks, Marcus.